I was pretty amazed that they kind of upended things again and as quickly as they did.
Yeah, it's funny. I read your review on IGN and I agreed with it. I was amazed. I was excited. You know, I don't think that this will be quite.
It won't be as
as dramatic.
Right, because we kind of know because they are all good guys, they'll work it out. You know,
they'll work it out. I think that right now it's sort of like we're gonna get Coulson, we're gonna take him out. He's a threat. You know, Sky's a threat. We're gonna take her out. And then they'll calm down. Everybody will use their words.
Right.
You know, and
everybody chill.
Just let's use our words. And then Coulson's going to come back, and I think that they're going to have to come to some kind of an agreement. And maybe it'll be an interesting new, because each side sort of has a point, right? Like, they're not wrong that all of these secrets was their undoing.
Yeah, and that Fury
were their undoing.
Yeah, anyway. And that Fury was, while he wasn't part of Hydra, that he was kind of part of the system of secret keeping and whatnot. Yeah.
And the system of secret keeping allowed Hydra to thrive.
Yeah.
So, because they hid in different pockets and nobody was talking to each other. I mean, it's like a really interesting way to look at government because, you know, in our world, we see that that's been an issue in government, that departments don't talk to each other.
Yeah.
And things fall through the cracks, and it's very bad for everybody.
And I also really liked the, flashbacks. I thought they did a good job of sort of layering in these people and how they were all connected and that they were all together on the day that S.H.I.E.L.D. fell and during the events of Captain America 2. It was cool to have Lucy Lawless come back because I like a lot of people, I was like, oh, she got killed right away. And besides the Battlestar reunion, it was just cool to kind of get to see her character kicking butt a little more. And yeah, I think it's just kind of cool because I thought they'd let the Mac and Bobby thing play out for a few more weeks, So I was impressed. I think that I think
that would have been annoying.
It would have been annoying, and this season they obviously had something to prove for everyone who was like, oh, season 1, things were moving so slow, and characters didn't seem as interested in solving their issues as they should have been. So they're like, no, we're moving. Like, things are going to change quickly,
I think that this is a more interesting conflict, too, because it's not black and white. It's not the good guys versus the bad guys. I think it'll land the show in a more interesting place at the end of the season. Though, I mean, I don't want it to be all neatly tied together in one episode either.
No.
Because this is a big conflict.
I think this will take us through the rest of the season. I mean, and it won't be the only issue because we still have Cal out there. Although Cal's been everyone, the Inhumans have Cal and they have Sky, and it's like, what's going to go on with them? Which, again, the fact that I'm saying that, it's like, wow, the Inhuman stuff is really building with Gordon collecting them all, sort of. He also took Reyna.
Yeah.
So we haven't even seen where they all are.
Exactly. So we're going to get to explore that, which to me is really exciting.
Yeah.
Because I like that more kind of otherworldly, fantastical realm.
Yeah.
In terms of Cal, do you think that because he's messed with his own chemistry, he can be cured and be not crazy? Because he as far as we know, the mist had nothing to do with him. It wasn't.
He was just a dude who experimenting like the comic books.
Yeah, he was a dude experimenting because of what happened to his wife and his daughter. He was trying to make himself an Inhuman to some.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I mean, look, they haven't used the name Mr. Hyde on the show, though that's who he's playing.
But that's who he is.
So the idea of a cure certainly would fit Yeah, so I think that's definitely possible. So yeah, they've got a lot of cool stuff in play right now, and it was like last night's episode even felt like one that could have been like maybe not the season finale, but a mid-season finale because it was like so much like by the end of it, like everyone was captured or off with the Inhumans except for Coulson and Hunter, and that was like a fun little beat at the end. So yeah, I don't know. I think my guess, and I think I might have made a little offhand mention of it in my review, is like by the end of the season they'll work stuff out, and you also have to be realistic about just TV and budgets and whatnot. It's like they just got all those new sets this season.
Yeah,
they're gonna keep those sets. So I feel by the end of the season, it's like they'll probably maybe be absorbed into or become. There'll be one S.H.I.E.L.D. again. They'll be acting off on,
Yeah, I think there'll be a bigger and a stronger S.H.I.E.L.D. and maybe that will even open up the world a little bit more for them, which might be interesting. I don't know. I'm loving the direction that this show has gone.
Yeah, it's just a way improved show because I was thinking about. I mean, I was saying how this episode aired around the same time as the Winter Soldier one last year, and the show was already getting a little better at that point, and then the Winter Soldier opened and it helped a lot. But I still felt like this season, the show is way more cohesive and the pacing is way better. And so them doing this right now and kind of upheaval again, it's like, I just feel like they're in a good place with this show right now. Like they're having fun with this show.
Yeah.
Last season felt very stilted. And again, we can kind of, you know, examine that and say maybe it is because they were waiting for Winter Soldier to open so much. But it just seems like they have more freedom this time by being able to lead, not follow with the Inhumans.
Yeah.
It's even though we all know that there's a million meetings happening about what they can and can't do.
So many meetings happening and so many roles. It's got to be tough.
It's gonna be really tough. One day we'll get the real
scoop on it.
Real scoop on it. But yeah, I'm enjoying it all, and I'm still curious. Like, at what point are they gonna do it at all? And are they maybe even gonna do it by the end of the season of S.H.I.E.L.D., which is layer in anyone from one of the Netflix shows, like just even if it's one episode, one cameo.
I've thought about that a lot too, and I don't see these worlds fitting together. I really don't.
I mean, but they are.
But they
like,
do.
They literally are. So that's it's an interesting thing. Like because I still want, you know, going to the earlier question about Skye. They still kind of almost need to have a character introduced on one of the TV shows, but S.H.I.E.L.D. would be good to pop up in the movies to kind of almost validate them more.
I agree. I mean, I think that, you know, when Daredevil comes out, I feel like we can talk about this a little more deeply and talk about it, you know, the way that it would actually work. But the tone is so different.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really, I mean, this fits to me. S.H.I.E.L.D. fits very much in the tone of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, where there are stakes, and certainly there are darker elements and moments, you know, grave moments and lots of levity and stuff. It has a really similar tone versus Daredevil, which I think is just brutal.
I think maybe you embrace that, though. Maybe you almost do what Arrow and the Flash did, which is it almost became meta, like the difference between the worlds, you know. And
but
like,
it's even more
I know it is, but it's still. I still think that's almost the way you have to embrace it. Is like is turning into it. You know, it's like let's talk about that and let's sort of make that. Make what the fans are talking about, make that part of the story. So, yeah. But I think at some point they're going to want to, so I'm curious if it'll happen sooner or later as we're starting to get like this ramp up to the Netflix stuff. So we'll see. But I'm excited about these last few episodes.